Captain Jack Hayes had precisely 3 seconds to regret his life choices before the galaxy exploded around him. His sniper bullet had left his rifle, traveled 2 miles, pierced the skull of Supreme Overlord Crantor the Merciless, and transformed Jack from Earth's best sharpshooter into the most hated man in the universe. He thought it was a good day's work. The rest of the galaxy, unfortunately, disagreed. It had started simple enough. The Pentagon wanted Crantor dead because he had threatened to vaporize North America for fun. Jack, being the guy who could shoot the legs off a mosquito at 500 yards, took the job with his usual swagger. He smoked Crantor clean through the head in front of 20 million alien viewers who were live streaming the tyrant's coronation. Jack figured this would scare the aliens away for good. Instead, it summoned every warlord from the Orion cluster to Earth's front yard, all of them itching for revenge. The sky above Washington, D.C. turned black with alien warships an hour after Crantor hit the ground. Generals screamed orders. Civilians panicked. Jack strolled into the command center wearing sunglasses and carrying a donut. A 3-star general looked like he was about to strangle him. "You just started the first intergalactic war, Hayes," the man growled. Jack bit into his donut unfazed. "Technically, Crantor started it when he threatened to blow us up. I just ended his career. Permanently." The room went silent as the lead alien warship descended, blotting out the sun. Through the booming speakers came a voice like mountains grinding together. "Earthlings, surrender the assassin or we will cleanse your planet of all life." Jack looked around the room. A dozen generals turned to stare at him like he was the kid who threw the stink bomb at prom. "Oh come on," Jack said. "It was one shot. You people act like I started the apocalypse." 2 minutes later, armored aliens the size of small cars crashed through the ceiling and surrounded him. Jack reached for his rifle but thought better of it when one of them hissed, "Surrender or we decorate our ship with your spine." As they dragged him toward the waiting warship, Jack yelled back over his shoulder, "Tell my dog I love him. Also feed him. He likes steak on Tuesdays." The hatch slammed shut, cutting off the screams of the generals. The fleet vanished into the sky, leaving Earth trembling in silence. Jack Hayes, Earth's most dangerous sniper, was gone, and for the first time in centuries the planet realized it might be very, very doomed. The alien warship smelled like burnt metal and something that reminded Jack uncomfortably of wet dog. He sat shackled to a chair while 6 guards loomed over him, each one resembling the offspring of a tank and a nightmare. Across the chamber stood Supreme Commander Krogar, who looked like he had been carved from pure hatred and then dipped in spikes for fun. "You are the human who killed Crantor the Merciless," Krogar rumbled, his voice shaking the walls. Jack tilted his head like he was considering it. "Well, technically, Crantor did most of the dying. I just provided the bullet." One of the guards hissed, but Krogar raised a clawed hand. He stepped closer, eyes glowing like molten lava. "The galaxy demands blood. Your death will entertain billions. You will enter the arena of 10 trials. No one survives." Jack shrugged as best he could while chained to the chair. "Sounds exciting. Do you at least sell popcorn or is this a bring-your-own-snack situation?" The guards snarled and shoved him toward a lift that shot downward into the belly of the ship. The doors opened to reveal the arena, a colossal pit surrounded by tiers of alien spectators shrieking in languages Jack did not understand. He caught glimpses of claws, tentacles, and too many eyes staring down at him like he was tonight's main course. The first trial began before he had time to admire the decor. A gate roared open and something the size of a bus lunged out, all teeth and rage. Jack dove aside as it smashed into the ground where he had stood, dust and sparks flying everywhere. The audience howled in approval. No rifle, no armor, just Jack and a monster with jaws big enough to eat a minivan. He sprinted across the arena, weaving between pillars, searching for anything useful. He found a length of chain and a metal spike, not exactly standard sniper gear. When the beast charged again, Jack waited until the last second, then jammed the spike into a crack in the floor and looped the chain around it. The creature hit the chain at full speed, roared in confusion, and tripped head over claws into the wall with bone-shattering force. The crowd erupted in disbelief. As the beast twitched in defeat, Jack leaned against the wall, panting. "Is that all you got, Krogar? I thought this was supposed to be hard." Up in the stands, Krogar's claws dug into the railing. One of his lieutenants, a scarred alien with shifty eyes, leaned close and whispered something Jack could not hear. Krogar stiffened, rage flashing across his face. Because, unknown to Jack, rebellion was brewing among the warlords themselves. The next trial began before Jack could catch his breath. This time it was not a beast but a squad of alien gladiators armed with glowing spears. They moved with terrifying precision, their armor gleaming under the harsh arena lights. Jack scanned the ground for anything resembling a weapon and found only broken debris and the corpse of the creature he had downed earlier. He muttered to himself about how much he hated Mondays and dove for the fallen beast's jagged tooth, ripping it free just as the first gladiator charged. He ducked low, rolled aside, and drove the tooth into the creature's leg. It shrieked and collapsed, forcing the others to circle him like sharks. Jack grinned despite the danger because the crowd was losing its mind, screaming for more blood. He had no idea if they wanted his or theirs, but either way he had no plans to die today. High above, Krogar watched with his usual look of murderous boredom, but the scarred lieutenant from before was gone. Jack only noticed because while dodging another spear thrust, he glimpsed the alien slinking into the shadows, speaking into a device on his wrist. Something was definitely happening behind the scenes and Jack had the sinking feeling he was at the center of it. By the time Jack snapped the last gladiator's neck with the chain he had scavenged, the lieutenant reappeared. As the arena gates closed, the alien motioned discreetly for Jack to follow. He led Jack through a maze of tunnels beneath the arena until they reached a dim chamber humming with strange machinery. "You fight well for a human," the lieutenant said in a low voice. "My name is Varric. I despise Krogar. He has ruled too long and grown careless. There are those among us who would see him fall." Jack blinked, sweat running down his face. "And you want my help? I am flattered but also chained up and scheduled for execution, so forgive me if I am not feeling generous." Varric produced a small device from his belt and with a quick press the shackles fell away. "We help you survive the trials, you help us kill Krogar. In the chaos you escape." Jack considered the offer for all of 3 seconds. Krogar wanted him dead, Earth was in danger, and he was tired of being dragged around like luggage. He grinned. "Deal." They returned to the arena just as Krogar announced the next trial. None of the spectators knew that rebellion was about to ignite beneath their very feet or that the human they had come to watch die was now planning to leave no survivors at all. The final trial never began the way Krogar planned. The moment the gates opened, Varric's rebels struck from the shadows, detonating charges beneath the arena stands. The ground split apart in a wave of fire and steel, hurling spectators into the air as chaos swallowed the Warlords' flagship. Jack snatched a fallen blaster from a guard and blasted the chains off the main gate, sprinting into the command corridors while alarms screamed overhead. Krogar stormed down from his throne, eyes burning with rage. Traitorous worms, he roared at his soldiers while his fleet tore itself apart around him. Find the human and gut him slowly. Jack was already 2 decks up, weaving through smoke-filled hallways with Varric and a handful of rebels. The plan was simple. Reach the ship's power core, rig it to blow, escape in the chaos, and make sure Krogar never left this ship alive. Jack had fought in enough wars to know nothing ever stayed simple, but the thought of erasing the entire Warlord fleet in one go put a smile on his face. They reached the power core chamber just as Krogar himself crashed through the opposite doors, flanked by elite guards. His armor gleamed crimson in the flickering light, and in his claws was a blade that looked like it had been forged out of nightmares. "You die here, human," Krogar snarled. Jack leveled the blaster. "You first, Spikes." The duel erupted in a blur of fire and steel. Jack dove behind machinery as energy blasts sizzled past his head. Varroc's rebels clashed with Krogar's guards, the room exploding into chaos. Jack shot 2 soldiers, rolled across the floor, and grabbed a fallen spear just in time to block Krogar's massive blade. The impact rattled his bones. Krogar swung again, furious and fast, but Jack fought with desperate precision, ducking and striking until he finally jammed the spear straight through one of the Warlord's armored plates. Krogar roared in pain, staggering back. Varroc slammed the final charge onto the power core. "Time to leave," he shouted over the deafening alarms. Jack kicked Krogar backward into a collapsing platform and sprinted for the exit with the rebels. The last thing he saw before diving into the escape pod was Krogar roaring defiance as the chamber tore itself apart. The flagship exploded behind them in a sun-bright blast that ripped the Warlord fleet to pieces. Jack watched the fireball fade as the pod hurtled toward Earth. For the first time since this mess began, he let himself breathe. Then a transmission crackled through the pod's console. Unknown signal detected. Incoming fleet from the outer rim. Estimated arrival, 2 weeks. Jack closed his eyes. Of course it was not over. Not even close.